What if I told you the real villain of Adventure Time isn't a monster, the Ice King, or the Lich? It's workflow efficiency. That's right. This is the episode where Finn and Jake become middle managers, accidentally invent capitalism, and almost outsource heroism into oblivion. All thanks to 4 guys in suits who look like they sell crypto and axe Africa at the same time. It starts with a beach, a flamethrower, and 2 guys with way too much time on their hands. Finn and Jake, adventurers by trade and chaos by nature, are melting for treasure. Not because they need it, just because it's something to do. And what do they find? Not gold, not relics.
I found another bike and more computers! What do you got?
I keep finding baby shoes.
Something even better. They find 4 frozen businessmen in suits. And this is where everything goes sideways. Because these aren't just any dudes in ties. These are the physical embodiment of late-stage capitalism, cryogenically preserved like bad ideas that we weren't ready to kill off yet. And they only remember one thing.
I remember business.
Not only do they remember that, they're practically breathing it.
Looking for help, your business? We love work for you.
Finn and Jake think they've hit the jackpot. These guys sound helpful. So they give them their first task.
Yes! Help us fix that dock.
Not exactly a high-stakes hero mission, just a simple construction job. And what do? They absolutely crush it. Synchronized. Fast.
We finish.
Whoa!
They don't just build a dock, they optimize it.
Impressive.
It's the most beautiful piece of carpentry Ooh has ever seen since Tree Trunks remodeled her house. Finn and Jake love it, and so do we. It gave us one of the most beautifully animated sequences of Adventure Time. It also gave us a contradiction. Do you remember this scene from only 8 episodes later?
Jake, I think I'm afraid of the ocean.
Yeah, that fear of the ocean? It didn't exist in this episode. Yet. Anyhow, the businessmen are really helpful, so Finn and Jake hire them full-time, leading to Finn and Jake Adventuring Incorporated. And that's the trap. These guys are helpful. They clean swords, iron your socks, and brush your shoes. What a life, right? Don't eat, don't question anything, just complete tasks. On time, without joy, like corporate algorithms in humanoid form. This symbolizes exactly how modern corporations treat people, as interchangeable parts just meant for the work that they do. Just look at Amazon warehouse workers tracked by productivity quotas so tight that they have to skip bathroom breaks to avoid penalties. Or gig workers for apps like Uber and DoorDash, optimized into invisibility, praised only when metrics go up, and punished by an algorithm when they slow down. Finn and Jake, blissfully unaware, treat these men like interns. They're just delegating the hard parts of life to someone else, and then they claim the glory. And what starts as convenience becomes a full-on corporate restructuring of their lives.
Feels weird doing nothing.
Relax, man. This is your day off.
Before long, Finn and Jake aren't slaying beasts anymore. When they become tired in a battle with monsters, they just call in the businessmen and observe the workflow efficiency.
Hey, business dude, hold off these cubes so we can catch our breath.
Adventure becomes logistics. Saving lives becomes a service offering. The land of Ooh is now under new management. And here's the brilliant tragedy. It works. Tasks get done faster, evil is vanquished just on schedule. But something is missing, something intangible. That spark that made adventuring messy and meaningful. Because when you hand off the struggle, you hand off the growth. And when you sand down all the rough edges of life, you end up with something smooth, safe, and dead inside. And that's exactly what I think the creators were trying to symbolize with these businessmen. The episode was released in 2010, when the aftermath of the 2008 financial crisis was still being felt everywhere. Corporate greed had just tanked the global economy, wiped out savings, and kicked millions out of their homes. And here comes Adventure Time, quietly roasting those exact systems in the form of 4 suit-wearing zombies from the past. These guys don't have names, they don't speak unless spoken to, they're not evil, they're just what happens when you give your life to a system that slowly erases you. They used to be people, now they're business-shaped husks, kept alive by habit and quarterly performance. And the impact they have on Finn and Jake, their managers, who are representing society and the top-down construct, is terrifying. They get to live the dream. In this episode, Finn eats about 18 containers of ice cream, and Jake eats about 30. Can you imagine how sick they would feel after doing that? All they're doing now is sleeping in, snacking all day, and playing video games. It's the adventurer's equivalent of early retirement, except they're kids, and they're still benefiting from other people's work. Heroism has officially become passive income, which is the dark mirror of the rise of hustle culture and the allure of passive income streams that gained popularity post-2008 and is way more present now. The duo's descent into lethargy and overindulgence satirizes the consequences of detaching from purposeful work in favor of comfort and convenience at the expense of others. And we get to see the critique of that when Finn and Jake begin to fall apart.
Never knew being fat and lazy was so rewarding.
Their bodies get soft, their minds get foggy, and their sense of purpose totally outsourced without realizing it. They've turned into upper management. All of the authority, none of the work. Pretty much just upper management then. And the worst part, they think this is the work. Meanwhile, the businessmen are thriving and evolving. Their plans are scaling. Their operations are expanding. They're not just helping anymore, they're running the show.
Man, I am not in the mood for saving Lumpy Space Princess.
Hey, business dudes!
The boys aren't heroes now, they're founders. And the businessmen, they're the new workforce. But here's the catch. The businessmen aren't people anymore. Not really. They're machines in suits. They don't think, they don't feel. They implement the plans of their masters. And when you're running a business, implementation can get ruthless.
Imagine how awesome the adventure's going to be when it's time for us to go out there.
I'm too tired to imagine stuff, but I bet you're right.
This is what happens when you remove humanity from systems, when labor becomes mechanical, when empathy gets replaced with efficiency. The businessmen are no longer doing good, they're just hitting targets. And if someone gets hurt along the way, that's just collateral damage. This becomes painfully clear when the fuzzy people, innocent little forest creatures, get caught in the middle of a mission. The businessmen aren't rescuing them, they're relocating them. Just like in real life, the businessmen went from rescuers to real estate developers in a couple hours. And Finn, he finally notices. Not because he's paying attention, but because damage control finally lands on his doorstep.
Jake, we messed up! The businessmen have gone back crazy, dude!
And just let the businessman handle it.
It's the most chilling line in the entire episode, not because it's wrong, but because it's familiar. That's what we say when systems fail, but still feel convenient. We know something's broken, but fixing it sounds like too much work. When we'd rather scroll past the fire than get up and grab a bucket. But Finn, the hero, is done watching. He storms out, confronts the robotic monstrosity, and tries to shut it down. The businessmen, ever polite, ever horrifying, explain themselves in perfect corporate logic.
We're protecting them. It's the most efficient way to save people.
They're not heroes, they're not even workers. They're protocol. Their job isn't to help, it's to contain. Not to save lives, but to optimize safety at the cost of joy, agency, and literally everything that makes life worth living. Finn pushes back.
But you're making them unhappy!
And the red tie reply, straight out of a nightmare HR handbook.
Irrelevant. These people are in our care set. Their happiness is not priority.
There it is, the moment the episode drops all pretense. Efficiency as an excuse for harm. The perfect corporate rationalization. Don't worry about happiness, we've got metrics to hit. It echoes real-world instances where corporations implement measures under the guise of efficiency, often leading to adverse outcomes. Here's just one out of many, many examples. Companies like Yahoo will lay off significant portions of their workforce like they did in 2010 to streamline operations, impacting employee morale and public perception. You may have noticed recently companies like Google and Apple and Facebook, all of them laying off thousands and thousands of workers just for efficiency. It's the same logic used when tech companies track your location for your safety. It's why AI decides who gets a mortgage. It's why schools have facial recognition to protect students, but end up making it easier to criminalize behavior. It's the illusion of safety through control. The businessmen aren't heroes, they're benevolent dictators with spreadsheets. And the scariest part? They believe they're doing the right thing. So, Finn fires them on the spot. And the reaction? Not shame, not regret, just panic.
Fired!
The robot goes berserk, scooping up creatures even faster until one of the fuzzy friends gets crushed, symbolizing the very real cost of systems that optimize without empathy. Even when you try to stop them, they speed up, like firing Facebook and watching it double its ad budget. So Finn goes full Finn. He attacks the robot, tries to bring it down solo, and gets sucked into the care sack. Now it's up to Jake. And he is still fat, still slow, still eating ice cream. But that becomes the plan.
Jake, demoralize them!
What? Why?
Do it, man! I have a legit plan!
Jake insults their business sense. The robot tries to suck him up. But Jake, powered by fat, stretchiness, and a lot of dairy, is too much for it.
Eat that ice cream some more to become fatter, while also using your stretchy powers to grow huge!
And so he does. Jake weaponizes obesity like he's the most woke DEI representation of the workforce going to a job interview. A beautiful moment where capitalism collapses under the weight of its own consequences. The robot explodes. Finn and Jake are launched sky high. The red tie guy lunges to kill Finn, but Finn pulls the ultimate judo move.
I want to rehire you guys!
The businessmen freeze midair,
Rehire? Really?
and together they grasp hands and form a majestic 5-pointed corporate star mid-flight. But the job?
I hired them to stuff themselves in that iceberg and get out of here.
The businessmen, now re-employed with one task, happily launch themselves into the lake like corporate lemmings. Back into the iceberg. Back into the abyss. Where all bad ideas go when we're too scared to destroy them outright. Of course, they're not destroyed. They're frozen. Temporarily shut down. Because in the real world, we don't dismantle the bad systems. We pause them. We forget about them until the next crisis forces us to defrost them again, and we repeat the same pattern. Think of every recession, every market crash, every broken promise that got recycled into a new startup pitch. The businessmen will be back. Not because they're needed, but because we still haven't learned how to live without them. This episode hits differently when you realize that Finn and Jake represent all of us. The ones who once had passion, but now survive on passive consumption. They didn't become lazy because they're bad. They became lazy because they outsourced their meaning, their connection to their work. That's what happens when you stop doing and start just watching other people do it for you. When your identity becomes a job title or a subscriber count. Just like mine, by the way, so please perhaps validate my feelings by hitting that like and subscribe button. Anyway, if you thought 4 businessmen in suits were a disturbing symbol of modern systems, wait until you meet a lemon with authority issues. Check out our deep dive into Lemon Grab, the character who went from a screaming punchline to one of Adventure Time's most heartbreaking metaphors for isolation, rigidity, and the desperate need to be understood.